This page is the front cover of 64 magazine, issue 33. It's a packed issue, with a massive review section being the main focus. The cover game is Jet Force Gemini, showing the three main characters, Juno, Vela and Lupus, with a note that the feature is on page 24. There's a big mention of a free 200-page Rayman solution inside, tying into Rayman 2. The magazine proudly states it's the UK's fastest-growing console mag. Featured prominently as reviewed games are Turok Rage Wars, promising the ultimate deathmatch, Armorines, which is billed as a bug-splattering bonanza, Roadsters, Gex 3, and Earthworm Jim, celebrating the worm's return, which would be Earthworm Jim 3D. They also tease reviews for Knockout Kings, Dragon Sword, and Worms Armageddon. This page is an advert for Rayman 2, The Great Escape, linking nicely to the free guide mentioned on the cover. It hypes up Rayman as a humorous hero with cool moves and actions, showing screenshots of the game and promoting it as available from the 29th of October on PCCD, calling it the best-looking platform game ever. This page is the contents page for 64 magazine issue 33 from 1999. It lays out what's inside, featuring big splashes for upcoming games like Armorines, Project Swarm and Dragon Sword, plus Worms Armageddon, Jet Force Gemini, Rayman 2, and Earthworm Jim 3D. You'll find the contact details here, and a handy quick search section, listing all the reviews, updates, gamebusters, and regulars like Cheat Central and the Nindex. There's also a mention of a tonic trouble solution. This page dives into Armorines, Project Swarm. Set in the near future, it's Earth under attack by giant alien insects. You play as one of the Armorines, cybernetically enhanced soldiers, who are the last line of defense against these hordes. It's a first-person shooter developed by Acclaim Studios London, described as being similar to Turok 2, but focused on bug blasting. The game features 20 missions across 5 distinct environments, including Siberia, a volcanic island, South American jungle, Egypt, and the Hive mothership. You'll wield a variety of weapons and gadgets, and they mention some having different power levels, and even a gravity bomb grenade that pulls bugs in. There are also bits that aren't just on foot, with some on-rail sections and dropship gunnery. Multiplayer is a big part of it, offering the standard one-player campaign, a deathmatch mode against mates or the bugs themselves, and a new split-screen co-op mode for the entire campaign. You get to choose between 2 playable characters, Tony Lewis and Myra Lane, each with their own starting weapons and slight differences. Tony has a blaster, rocket launcher, and a shield, while Myra packs a melee weapon, machine gun, and grenade launcher. The screenshots show off the environments and some of the big, nasty-looking bugs you'll be facing. It was developed by Acclaim Studios London and came out in the UK in December 1999. Just as they said, it definitely made it out, a solid shooter for the console. This page gives us a proper look at Dragon Sword from Interactive Studios, a fantasy beat-em-up heading our way. The premise is classic stuff. Save the land of Avantaria from the evil DARRC lords who've been causing trouble. They reckon the game's really come along since the last time they saw it, with levels and monsters all working and looking colourful. A big focus seems to be the 2-player cooperative mode, which they say is working well now. Instead of a split screen, it uses a floating camera, which they feel gives players a lot more freedom, though they mention it still had a few bugs to iron out at this stage. The single-player camera, however, sounds spot on, letting you roam freely. Bubbly. They also reveal that the number of playable characters has jumped from 2 to 4. We're introduced to Cutter, the exiled heir to the DARRC throne, Kylan the Battlelord, Aisha from a nomadic tribe, and Guranga the Ogre Champion. Each sounds like a distinct character, ready to jump into the action. The screenshots showcase the game's look, and some of the enemies you'll face, with some amusing captions adding to the flavor. It was scheduled for a December 1999 release. Despite being previewed and seemingly well into development here, Dragon Sword was one of those games that sadly never saw the light of day on the N64, a real shame for what looked like a promising coupe brawler. Rocket, Robot on Wheels, a 3D adventure game for the N64 developed by Sucker Punch, put players in control of Rocket, a robot tasked with saving a theme park gone awry due to a squirrel named Jojojo. The game featured a hub-based structure, with levels representing different park areas filled with rides and attractions to repair. Gameplay involved a variety of innovative puzzles and tasks, including using Rocket's tractor beam, painting, throwing, and vehicle driving. Players could pilot a mechanical fish, a flying carpet, and a hot dog beach buggy. The game's unique challenges ranged from simple object stacking to more complex puzzles like velcroing a sheep. Despite some noted camera issues, the preview highlighted the enjoyable and inventive gameplay, solidifying its positive reception upon release. This page features a look at a couple of sports titles. First up is EPGA Tour Golf, which they reckon was going to bring a proper, realistic golf simulation to the N64, unlike the arcade style of Mario Golf. It promised real courses and pros, but sadly, this one never actually made it out on the N64, though it did appear on other systems. Below that, there's a preview for Rally Masters. This was based on a PC game and looked like it had a lot of potential, with different terrains and apparently great car handling planned for the N64 version. Again, a shame this rally game didn't see the light of day on the console. The rest of the page is dedicated to the Millennium Games Awards competition run by Total Games Network, HMV, and Titus. They were asking readers to vote for their favorite games of the millennium with some cracking prizes up for grabs, including a DVD player, a PlayStation, a Dreamcast, and yes, even an N64. The editors also listed their personal top 10 games. This page is all about the Millennium Games Awards competition they mentioned on the previous page. It's the actual questionnaire form for readers to fill out, sponsored by HMV, Titus, and the Total Games Network. You had to tick boxes about your age, income, what newspapers you read, and crucially, which consoles you owned or planned to buy, listing everything from PlayStation and 64 to Dreamcast, and even the PlayStation 2. At the bottom they show off some of the cool prizes you could win, like a PlayStation, a Dreamcast, and a DVD player, tying it back to the gaming theme. You just fill it in, and send it back via free post. Poolkery. On the right side, completely separate from the competition, there's an advert for Ericsson mobile phones, showing different silly excuses you might use with one. This page kicks off with the editorial, talking about the big push for games coming out for Christmas, and highlighting the general quality of releases, noting several top scores and some gold medal awards being handed out. It mentions upcoming titles like Donkey Kong 64, Rainbow Six, Armorines, Ridge Racer 64, and Resident Evil 2 are on the horizon. Then there's the big news about the new colored N64 consoles coming out, purple, green, blue, orange, charcoal and red, arriving from November 19th with matching controllers. There's a look at the Agitech ASC2 Wheel 64 peripheral for driving games. Namco are bringing some classic arcade action to the N64, with Namco Museum 64, packing in stone-cold classics like Pac-Man, Galaxians, Galaga, Pole Position, Emmys Pac-Man, and Dig Dug. And look, Duke Nukem 0 Hour gets a shout-out, specifically highlighting that quote, calling its multiplayer better than GoldenEye. There's also a competition going on to win some WCW wrestling gear, including the WCW Mayhem game, Drucker. Finally, there's an update on the next Nintendo console, known back then as Dolphin, confirming it's still quite a way off but hinting that its power might allow for 4 players to each play a completely different game at the same time. This issue of 64 magazine features a Game Watch section, listing upcoming N64 game release dates, with UK releases highlighted. Screenshots showcase Resident Evil 2, Ridge Racer 64, and The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time. The 64 magazine charts section details the top 10 64 games, with a contest offering a voucher prize. Gizmos and Gadgets reviews the Explorer 64, a cheat device rivaling the Action Replay, emphasizing its ability to handle complex games and transfer codes, tested on games like Zelda. Offer. Additionally, there's a Tonic Trouble-themed contest, awarding prizes like game merchandise and Nestle Crunch chocolate, requiring an answer about George Clooney and vegetables. Lastly, an ad promotes the newly released Dreamcast magazine, including a free Virtua Fighter 3 TB guide. This page is the letters section, When I'm 64, featuring readers' thoughts on game characters like Mario, Sonic, and Crash Bandicoot, as well as the industry's approach to new ideas. Readers also ask about upcoming games like Harrier 2001 and Airport Inc., referencing the Game Watch section. The Star Letter winner gets a bundle of N64 kit, including peripherals like a steering wheel and memory cards. There's a large advert for Worms Armageddon, highlighting its N64 release alongside PlayStation and Game Boy Color, featuring screenshots and quoting a 91% score from N64 Pro, calling it absurdly enjoyable, maddeningly tricky, and still insanely playable. This page features 2 adverts. On the left is the Explorer 64 cheat cartridge, promising to blow your games wide open with unlimited ammo and lives. On the right is the Road Rash 64 adverts, hyping more combat and weapons with deathmatch and tag modes, featuring screenshots and an available late November release date. This page covers the review of Rare's Jet Force Gemini, penned by Stuart Wynn. It highlights the game as a significant sci-fi shooter from Rare, following on from their successes. The review focuses on the main characters Juno, Vela, and their dog Lupus, and the mission to rescue the tribals from the tyrannical Mizar. It praises the graphics, stating they are unrivaled on N64, especially the numerous detailed FMV sequences which rival CD, BA, SED games. Enemies like the insectoid drones are mentioned, alongside the shootable tribals. The page also details the multiplayer options available, including a co-op mode where a second player controls Floyd the droid, a battle mode, a target practice mode, and even a racing mode. Various screenshots showcase the game's environments, characters, and action. The review summary box points out highs, like the huge landscapes and innovative control, while noting lows like the multiplayer modes being a bit disappointing. This page continues the review of Rare's Jet Force Gemini, diving deeper into the gameplay and the impressive array of weaponry on offer. It explains how the game blends precise first-person aiming, particularly useful with the sniper rifle, with a fast-paced third-person auto-aim approach for charging through levels. The sheer number and variety of guns is highlighted, from the standard Jet Force pistol and machine gun, to the powerful tri-rocket launcher, plasma shotgun, flamethrower, and even throwable weapons like shurikens and various mines and bombs. The game's progression is touched upon, mentioning the vastness of the world with multiple distinct planets and locations like Mizar's Palace, and the battleship segment to explore once you unlock the necessary firepower. It also gives a nod to the character selection screen, calling it a work of art with its bioscan feature. It's clear this game wasn't just about shooting. There was a lot of depth to the arsenal and world. This page continues the look at Jet Force Gemini, delving into the different playable characters, Juno, Vela, and Lupus the dog. It explains how you can switch between them, each having different skills that allow access to new areas in previously explored levels, leading to plenty of backtracking. The main objective is to bring all three characters together for the final showdown at Mizar's Palace. While the core shooting action is solid, the review notes some minor issues like slow turning and camera problems, especially compared to Rare's other classics like GoldenEye and Banjo-Kazooie. Still, it's highlighted as simply riotous fun and a brilliant arcade blast. The page also lists alternatives like GoldenEye and Quake 2. The game scores well across the board, receiving 5 out of 5 N64 logos for graphics, audio, gameplay, and challenge, culminating in an impressive overall score of 91%. There's also a second opinion praising the visuals, weapons, and challenge. There's also an advert here for Gameplay.com, offering games for sale online, by phone, or interactive TV, with over 3,000 titles and delivery across the UK. This page is a review of Turok, Rage Wars. It features the main character alongside a Trex, setting the scene for this dinosaur hunting shoot-'em-up. The review highlights that the multiplayer modes are particularly impressive, described as stunning, taking the best elements from Turok 2 and refining them into a pure gameplay experience. It also mentions the inclusion of a single-player mode as a necessary addition. The page showcases some of the unique weapons, including the hilarious inflator and a grenade called the Deadly Friend, explaining how they function with screenshots. There's also information confirming it supports up to 4 players, the expansion pack, Rumble Pack, and uses the controller pack for saving progress. Turok, Rage Wars review emphasizes its multiplayer modes, using the single-player quest mode as a training ground. The 4-play modes include Team Mode, Gauntlet Mode, Frag Tag Mode, and Flag Mode, offering various chaotic experiences. 2-player modes provide unique scenarios like raptor hunting. The review mentions the effectiveness of the Scorpion launcher and plasma rifle. Power-ups, such as the $64,000 question, enhance gameplay. Stop That Monkey is a unique mode featuring animal-based combat. The game, released on the N64, showcases diverse gameplay through screenshots, highlighting characters, weapons, and multiplayer action in split screen. This page continues the review of Turok, Rage Wars, focusing on the game's technical aspects and overall impression. It covers the graphics, noting the benefit of the expansion pack and improved visibility compared to Turok 2, while still having that classic N64 look. The review praises the level design and the intense action, comparing it favorably to GoldenEye in terms of Chowtech fun, though acknowledging it's not quite on the same level. The audio, gameplay and challenge are also rated, leading to an overall score of 90%. A second opinion section reinforces the positive view on the multiplayer-focused design and the ability to play deathmatches solo. There's also a guide for tackling a tough boss. The page features several screenshots showcasing the in-game graphics and action, plus a diagram illustrating the N64 controller layout and button functions for the game. The right side of the page features an advert for Destruction Derby 64, highlighting its game modes, environments, vehicles and multiplayer support, stating it was available late November. Rayman 2 on the N64 is a graphical masterpiece, finally bringing the beloved character to the system. The game's stunning animation and character handling are immediately praised. Players guide Rayman in escaping pirates and restoring the planet by collecting lums and masks. Gameplay revolves around a hub world with portal access to diverse levels. Yellow lums are crucial for progression and unlock bonus races. Red, blue and purple lums provide varied abilities. The difficulty is balanced, and sub-games add to the fun. The review highlights the impressive visuals, from water effects to detailed environments. Rayman 2 is a brilliant 3D adventure, with a memorable central character. Saving is done using the controller pack. While not perfect dark, it's a beloved and brilliant port. Cheshire. Rayman 2 is a joy to play, beginning with the objective of freeing caged lums. The game's opening escape sequence is simple, but sets the stage for Rayman's adventure with Glowbox. The graphics are praised for their PC-quality visuals, smooth animation, and responsive controls. The review highlights the game's excellent camera system, which prevents common 3D adventure frustrations. Puzzles are varied and fit the game's pace. Characters like Murphy provide hints. Interludes feature cutscenes of the pirate Captain Razorbeard. Screenshots showcase swimming, ear flying, lum liberation and character interactions. The swimming mechanics are well executed, and the pirate prison ship is also displayed. This page continues the review of Rayman 2, highlighting more of the gameplay mechanics. It shows how Rayman gets the ability to swing from lums after meeting Laurently the fairy, which is essential for getting across gaps. There's a handy graphic showing the N64 controller layout, with the button functions explained. Screenshots here show Rayman navigating various environments, including a swamp where he encounters Glowbox's concerned family, and using the swinging mechanic on purple lums. The main review text expands on the level design, mentioning variety like a water skiing section and areas with bottomless pits, though thankfully falling doesn't mean instant death, just a loss of energy. The game's praised again as a highly addictive 3D adventure, seen as a strong competitor to Rare's output on the N64. You can also see how Rayman can climb vertical shafts by bouncing between the walls. A second opinion hails Rayman 2 as the new platform champion, praising its beautiful high-resolution graphics, solid performance with no slowdown, excellent controls, and significant challenge. The game received high ratings across the board, earning a cracking overall score of 94%. The soundbite sums it up nicely, as gorgeous-looking, highly addictive adventuring action that you should definitely buy. There's also a big advert on the right offering cheats and tips for loads of games across various systems including N64, available via a premium rate phone line. This page dives into the world of Earthworm Jim 3D, giving it a full review. It's described as a platform adventure game, quite similar in structure to Banjo or Mario, set inside Jim's own brain after a rather unfortunate incident involving a flying cow. The main goal seems to be gathering marbles and golden udders, scattered throughout his subconscious to restore his sanity. The review highlights that the game is split into different themed areas within Jim's mind, each representing a part of him like his memory or happiness. Screenshots show Jim exploring various levels, including one with a giant head structure, and another with peculiar floating objects. There's also a shot of Jim swinging across a gap, suggesting classic platforming mechanics are present. The page also introduces some of the characters you'll encounter. Obviously there's Jim himself, the hero of the piece. We also see Peter Puppy, described as a friend who can turn into a beast when scared. The sacred cow of contemplation is mentioned as a guide, and Snot pops up to offer advice. On the villainous side, Psychro, Fatty Roswell, and Professor Monkey Forehead are noted as foes lurking behind Jim's troubles. The review suggests it's one of the funnier and cleverer games they've played, praising the visuals and minigames, although noting the camera can be a bit tricky sometimes, and the bosses are tough. It certainly sounds like classic Earthworm Jim madness translated into 3D, which was indeed released on the N64. This page continues the deep dive into Earthworm Jim 3D on the N64. It focuses on various gameplay aspects beyond the core marble collecting. There's a section on the pork boarding minigame, which sounds like a tough challenge where you ride a pig collecting marbles. The game's bizarre nature is highlighted with descriptions of the variety in tasks needed to collect the golden udders, like helping a Rastafarian corpse or dealing with a chicken in need of trousers. Screenshots show Jim in different environments, including one with ghost chickens and another where he's seemingly ricocheting bullets off frying pans to open a door. Classic Jim logic that translated well into 3D. The range of weapons is also covered, beyond Jim's standard whip and plasma gun, mentioning special finds like the explosive banana. The review expresses genuine surprise at how good the game turned out, calling it a superbly enjoyable platform romp that keeps the humor coming. The second opinion backs this up, praising the puns and action. The ratings breakdown shows strong scores across graphics, audio, gameplay, and challenge, leading to a cracking overall score of 90%. The alternatives listed are Banjo-Kazooie and Super Mario 64, putting Earthworm Jim 3D in rather esteemed company, which tells you a lot about its quality. It really was a surprisingly great game for the console. This page features a review of Gauntlet Legends. It's the classic arcade dungeon crawler brought into the N64's 3D world. The premise is simple. Team up with up to 3 friends to battle hordes of monsters, collecting treasure and destroying generators, all in a quest to stop the evil Scorn. The review highlights how the core gameplay remains true to the original, focusing on non-stop action, though it adds secrets and puzzles to solve. Screenshots show the character selection screen featuring the classic warrior, wizard, Valkyrie, and huntress, along with action shots of players fighting various fantasy creatures like dragons, golems, and ghosts in different environments. The review notes the game successfully updates the formula, finding a comfortable spot among updated retro titles. While the repetitive nature and camera can be minor issues, the multiplayer focus and nostalgic fun make it a worthwhile experience. The game scores well, earning a strong overall rating of 82%. Knockout Kings for the N64 receives high praise, hailed as a winner for EA Sports. The game boasts 25 licensed boxes, including Boxing Legends. Players can choose from various modes, including Quick Start, Slugfest, and a career mode, emphasizing the importance of training to enhance boxer stats. The review highlights the solid graphics and superb audio, with responsive commentary and crowd reactions. Controls, using the N64 controller's C buttons and stick, are detailed, with a simpler one-button option available. Features include post-fight stats, replays, training screens, a custom boxer creator, and career records. While gameplay can be repetitive, the game's strengths include visuals, interactive damage, celebrity boxers, customization, and audio. With strong scores in graphics, audio, gameplay, and challenge, Knockout Kings earns a 90% overall score and is considered the best boxing game on the N64. This page is a massive advertisement from Wickedware, featuring N64 consoles, a vast array of games including Donkey Kong 64 and Zelda, and loads of accessories like wheels and controllers, alongside Game Boy and other gear. This page is a review of Worms, Armageddon, on the N64. The headline declares that Nostradamus was right, heralding the game's arrival as a major event at the end of the century. The article explains that this N64 version is quite simply the peak of the Worms evolution, praising the superbly detailed graphics that give the Worms personality. The control system is highlighted as perfect, using the C buttons for movement and the analog stick to scroll the screen. The review emphasizes the massive arsenal of weapons available, far exceeding what players might expect, including classic mainstays like the bazooka and grenade, alongside new additions like the baseball bat, sheep, skunk, and even nuclear attacks. Gameplay modes are covered, detailing the useful weapon-specific training levels and the enjoyable mission mode, where players complete specific objectives in set levels. Screenshots throughout the review showcase various gameplay moments, displaying different levels, worms, and the explosive effects of weapons like the Indian nuclear test and dynamite. The review also notes the improved CPU AI compared to previous Worms games, making the computer opponents more challenging. Overall, the review concludes that Worms, Armageddon on the N64 is an incredibly addictive game, featuring more weapons, challenging missions, hilarious animations, and decent AI. This page continues the review for Worms, Armageddon. It notes the mission modes can feel more like puzzles at times, requiring careful thought with limited tools, drawing comparisons to games like Lemmings. Beyond the standard arsenal, the game offers even more weapons and utilities to unlock, plus hidden modes like retro and shopping. The audio gets a shout out too, with improved sound effects, various worm accents, and even soundalikes for a whole team. The review's second opinion from Andy McDermott calls it a fantastic port, brilliantly playable both multiplayer and single-player, absolutely worth owning. There's also a control layout diagram shown. The rating bars are packed full, and it gets a cracking overall score of 94%. The soundbite confirms it's the most addictive game on the N64, full stop. The rest of the page is dedicated to a massive mail-order advert listing loads of games, consoles, and accessories from a company called Gameplay, along with details on their service and prices. Roadsters is a racing game for the N64 developed by Titus, a French studio. It allows players to experience the thrill of exotic cars without the real-life costs. The game features licensed and renamed vehicles, offering a variety of cars to unlock and upgrade using earned in-game money. Roadsters boasts 10 tracks with mirrored and reversed options, incorporating dynamic weather conditions and diverse environments. The gameplay focuses on earning cash to upgrade your car's engine, gearbox, and suspension. The handling leans towards arcade style, with variations depending on the car and setup. Visually, the game is decent for the N64, with clean graphics and sharp polygons, although it lacks some sharpness compared to the PlayStation. Multiplayer is available. The review highlights the game's speed, extensive car selection, customization options, and decent visuals as positives. Despite lacking groundbreaking features, the review concludes that Roadsters is enjoyable and playable. Saving progress requires a controller pack. This page continues the look at Roadsters, detailing the handling which improves as you upgrade your car, and mentioning the AI drivers who aren't perfect, sometimes making mistakes themselves. The speed is highlighted as a major plus, really giving you the sensation of going fast across the diverse countryside tracks shown in the screenshots. It covers the game's sound, and gives a breakdown of ratings across graphics, audio, gameplay, and challenge, culminating in an overall score of 87%. There's also a second opinion on the game, and mentions of alternative racing titles, like Foreign World Grand Prix and Beetle Adventure Racing. The page shows the controls for the N64 pad, and includes a humorous aside about the game's unlicensed, renamed cars. The page is part of 64 Magazine issue 33 from 1999. This page covers the review of Milo's Astro Lanes. It's a unique take on 10-pin bowling, setting the game in space with peculiar alien characters and robot opponents. The lanes themselves are far from traditional, featuring hazards, obstacles, and unusual environments to bowl down. A key feature highlighted is the ability to pick up bonus balls during play, such as the White Dwarf or Mega Ball, which significantly alter your shot. The review notes the game's attempt at originality, but suggests it tries a bit too hard with the wacky theme. Despite some interesting ideas like the bonus balls and varied lanes, the overall feeling conveyed is that it might not fully satisfy pure bowling fans. Milo's Astro Lanes received an overall rating of 73%. This page covers the review of Gex 3, Deep Cover Gecko. The third outing for the wisecracking Gecko sees him back to battle res and save his partner, Agent Extra. The core game is a 3D platformer, where you navigate various themed worlds, tackling tasks to collect TV remotes which unlock further areas. Gex is quite the chameleon, not just in his skin color, but in his ability to adopt numerous disguises to suit the level themes. You'll see him dressed as a soldier, diver, vampire, Hercules, pirate, cowboy, and even piloting a tank or snowboarding. It's a nice visual touch, and ties into the varied environments like a World War II setting, underwater sections, or snowy slopes. The review notes, the game follows a familiar formula, focusing on collecting items within levels. You'll encounter characters like Alfred the Tortoise offering advice. Visually, the game offers colorful levels and decent animation, which is always a plus on the N64. However, it mentions the game feels quite sluggish and slow-paced overall, and the controls can be a bit iffy at times, which can hinder platforming precision. Despite some criticisms regarding the camera and pacing, the variety in levels and Gex's transformations provide some interesting moments. This page continues the look at Gex 3, Deep Cover Gecko. The review delves deeper into some of the frustrations, particularly mentioning how challenging underwater sections can be due to the camera not keeping up, making tasks like finding air bubbles difficult. The comedy aspect, often a selling point for Gex, is called out as falling flat, with the game taking a more generic approach to parody rather than targeting specific films or shows as in previous titles. The level themes, despite the costume changes, are described as feeling somewhat generic, like standard platformer environments you might see anywhere. There's a breakdown of the controls on the N64 pad, showing how Gex moves and uses his tail swipe and tongue attack. The review lists alternatives, suggesting players might prefer Rayman 2 or Super Mario 64 if they're looking for platforming excellence. The game's performance is rated across graphics, audio, gameplay, and challenge, leading to an overall score of 73%. The final opinion is that Gex 3 offers plenty of content with the costume changes and varied levels, but it doesn't significantly improve upon the previous games, and feels like more of the same. The screenshot shows Gex battling a large insect enemy. Also on the page is a significant advertisement for Wizard Interactive, detailing prices for Nintendo 64 and Game Boy products and offering mail order services. This page features a review of In Fisherman Bass Hunter 64. This was the first fishing simulation game to appear on the N64, which was a bit surprising given how many bass fishing games were around on other consoles at the time. The review highlights its focus on realism, offering difficulty levels, and an online tutorial to make it accessible to both newcomers and seasoned anglers. It stresses the importance of factors like tackle, season, weather, and lake location to catch the best fish. It mentions licensed tackle, expert advice, and electronic fish finders being included. There are two main modes: Championship and Fishing for Fun. The Championship mode involves competing in timed events. Getting around the lakes in your boat is noted as being surprisingly enjoyable. Tackle, visually, the detail around the lakes is praised, although the graphics underwater are considered a bit basic. The animations for the fish are described as average, but catching them involves managing line tension and dealing with snags, which sounds spot on. Success in competitions earns you cash to get better gear, leading to bigger catches. While fishing games aren't for everyone, the review suggests this is a solid entry. It gets ratings of 4 out of 5 for graphics, gameplay and challenge, 3 out of 5 for audio, and an overall score of 84%. The Legend of Zelda is listed as an alternative title. The screenshots show various fishing moments, including the lake information menu and an underwater view of a fish. This page reviews Magical Tetris Challenge, which brought the classic puzzle game to the N64 with a Disney twist. It features Mickey Mouse, Minnie, Goofy, and Donald Duck, each with their own animations. The core gameplay is still Tetris, but it introduces new elements like the magic attack, where clearing multiple lines sends special pieces to your opponent. There are various modes, including a story mode tied to the different characters, an up and down mode, and an endless mode. The review notes that while it's still Tetris and playable, the Disney characters feel a bit tacked on, and the new features don't drastically change the classic formula. Screenshots show the familiar Tetris grid alongside the Disney characters, and highlight some of the new, odd-shaped blocks that appear. Magical Tetris Challenge was indeed released on the N64 in 1999. It scored an overall rating of 68% in this review, described as the same old game, but with a new coat of paint. This page is dedicated to Cheat Central, giving players the latest tips and tricks for N64 games. It points readers to older cheats in their sister magazine or online at totalgames.net. Featured here are cheats for Jet Force Gemini, including how to unlock various hidden characters like Metallic Termite and Cyborg Ant, as well as extra multiplayer stages, and cheats like Ants in Pants, which turns enemies into stick figures. It mentions these are acquired through specific missions, awards, or collecting items. For Duke Nukem 0 Hour, it details how to find hidden levels like the Titanic and Wet World, requiring players to locate specific items or play through certain stages. It also lists various cheat codes unlocked by completing levels or finding secrets, giving abilities like Big Head Mode or Max Ammo. Road Rash 64 gets a look in with cheats for scooters, a turbo start boost, and a code to unlock all bikes and tracks right from the start. LEGO Racers has codes for a no wheels mode and a rocket-powered car. Finally, Revolt is covered with a master code that supposedly unlocks absolutely everything in the game. There's also a diagram showing the N64 controller layout, labeled Pad at a Glance. A large advert for Cheats Unlimited is also featured, a paid service offering cheats and tips for many games, including N64. This page continues the Cheat Central section, focusing on more classic N64 titles. You've got cheats here for games like Body Harvest, Diddy Kong Racing, and the blisteringly fast F-Zero X, offering things like infinite health and unlocking modes. There are also tips for Rogue Squadron, Super Mario 64, and the brilliant Banjo-Kazooie, covering infinite lives, health, and unlocking items. the legendary GoldenEye 007, and 1080 degrees snowboarding, get a look in too. You'll find cheats for Lilac Wars, the evergreen Mario Kart 64, and the intense Turok 2. Plus, there are unlocks for the wrestling classics WWF Warzone, and WCW vs NWO Revenge, and of course, the absolute masterpiece that is Zelda, Ocarina of Time, listing cheats for items and stats. Also featured is an advert for the Explorer cheat cartridge, and various mail-order companies selling games and imports. This page is the score zone, where readers showed off their skills by submitting top scores and times for loads of different N64 games. You've got everything from speedruns in Shadows of the Empire, GoldenEye, and F1 WGP, to high scores in games like Weetrix, Yoshi's Story, and the brilliant Mischief Makers, where they were even tracking yellow gems. Racing games like Snowboard Kids, Top Gear Rally, and Beetle Adventure Racing also feature heavily with fastest times. There's a bit on how to enter your scores too, explaining the simple steps needed to get your name in the magazine. You can see screenshots from classics like Ocarina of Time's fishing, Mario Party minigames, and scenes from the racing titles. It's a great look back at the dedication 64 players had. This page is another part of the score zone, showcasing readers' top times and scores across a wide range of N64 classics. You've got speed freaks tearing up tracks in Micro Machines, 64 Turbo, Diddy Kong Racing, Mario Kart 64, and Wave Race 64, showing off their mastery of the circuits. There are impressive feats in Star Wars, Rogue Squadron, clearing missions in record time, and some seriously fast times hacking and blasting through levels in Quake 64. You can also see dedicated players showing off their completion times in Banjo-Kazooie, Blast Corps, and Tetrasphere, pushing their skills to the limit. There's even a specific challenge for collecting coins in Mario 64, setting times in Cruiseneusa's Grand Canyon, and mastering the Turok training level. The Score Zone challenge for Quake 2 is still running, daring players to complete time trials and kill Strogs, with the ultimate prize being a swanky steering wheel kit. This page features a playing guide for Tonic Trouble, Ubisoft's limb-free adventure on the N64. It covers two early sections of the game, Ski Slope and Doc's Cave, providing a step-by-step walkthrough illustrated with screenshots. The Ski Slope section details how to navigate the treacherous descent, avoiding obstacles like trees and holes, hitting boosters for speed, and using jump pads to clear gaps. It shows Ed, the purple main character, skiing down the snowy slope. The Doc's Cave guide takes you through a lava-filled area. It describes dodging hazards like poison gas and flame jets, platforming over vanishing ledges, fixing machinery, and dealing with various enemies, including mechanical ducks, a giant corn creature, and the robo-suitcase. The screenshots show Ed traversing the dangerous cave environment and interacting with characters and obstacles. It even covers how to free the Doc at the end of this area. It's a solid guide for getting past these tricky early levels. This page carries on with the Tonic Trouble playing guide, focusing on the Vegetable HQ and North Plain areas. In Vegetable HQ, you're tasked with collecting 6 springs, navigating through areas filled with aggressive mange tout and killer carrots, and even transforming into Super Ed to smash things up. The North Plain section covers collecting 6 propellers, involving platforming over chasms, dodging fiery jets, and using magnetic targets to pull platforms along. There are also tips on using the pea-shooter weapon for distance targeting and mastering the flying mechanics in the flapping dicky-bow section. The screenshots show the distinct environments and gameplay challenges you'll face. This page continues the Tonic Trouble playing guide from the last, detailing how to conquer the canyon level to collect the 6 jumping stones. It's all about mastering Ed's flying ability, navigating tricky passages, dodging enemies, and using wind currents to your advantage. Then, it jumps straight into the Glacier Cocktail level, where you'll be collecting 6 feathers. This section covers dealing with icy conditions, using transformations like Super Ed to break ice, swimming, and using the pea-shooter. Finally, it kicks off the guide for the South Plain, explaining how getting the Goldfish Bowl lets you dive deep and snag goodies, and how obtaining the Chameleon Powder is key to transforming into other characters, like the Granny Mummy, to open new paths, which is vital for reaching the Pyramid Portal. The screenshots give a clear look at the varied environments and challenges you'll face in these areas. The next page continues the Tonic Trouble playing guide. It moves into the inverted pyramid level, focusing on collecting the 6 diamonds, using transformations like the pillar form, and navigating traps and puzzles shown in the screenshots. The guide then tackles the pressure cooker area, detailing how to collect 6 wild piggy banks by manipulating objects, dodging crushers, solving switch puzzles, and utilizing items like the stick-on sockets. Finally, it explains how to get the pogo stick from the dock in the South Plane after collecting the dominoes, showing its use for traversing tricky ground and accessing new areas like Agent XYZ's training room and the dock's house. This page continues the Tonic Trouble playing guide. It first takes you through the Magic Mushroom's hideout, showing how to navigate the tricky downhill section with sledding, electric fields and flame jets, illustrated by screenshots of the hazards. The guide then details the boss fight itself, explaining how to deflect the Magic Mushroom's fireballs, shoot him when his shield drops, and survive his electric attacks using the rising platform shown in the images. Once you've beaten him and grabbed the piggy bank, the guide tells you to head back to the South Plane to give it to the dock, which lets you use the catapult to reach Grog's lair, setting up the next section. The guide then moves on to Grog's lair, providing a walkthrough for this challenging area. It shows you how to solve various puzzles and platforming sections, including pressing buttons to move bridges, using blocks and sticks on sockets to create paths and lifts, and transforming into Super Ed via popcorn shown in the screenshots to bend bars and access new areas. You'll also see how to use the pogo stick on guards and switches, activate magnet puzzles, navigate narrow beams and platforming sequences, all demonstrated with accompanying images. The guide culminates in the final confrontation with Grog, explaining how to deal with his robot, escape being chased, and finally take him down to get the can back. This page features special offers on Nintendo 64 secrets, strategies, and solutions books, including the N64 Gold package with a memory card, and guides for games like Banjo-Kazooie, Zelda 64, Lylat Wars, GoldenEye, and Turok 2. This page is the magazine's subscription and back issues form, showing you how to sign up and save some cash. It features plenty of old covers highlighting classics like Banjo-Kazooie, Zelda, Turok 2, Quake, and loads more N64 greats. This page is the Nindex, the magazine's complete guide to every N64 game they've ever reviewed. It's a massive list providing a quick look at game details like the developer, how many can play, if it uses the expansion pack or rumble pack, which issue it was first reviewed in, and most importantly the score they gave it, along with a brief comment. There's also a key to explain what all the icons mean, and a rundown of game genres. Over on the right they've got their Our Top 10 list, showing off some absolute classics with screenshots, including the likes of Zelda, Ocarina of Time, GoldenEye, Mario 64, Quake 2, Banjo-Kazooie, and F-Zero X. It's basically a handy reference to check out what they thought of pretty much everything released up to this point. This page from 64 Magazine issue 33 1999 provides a comprehensive N64 game review index, including scores, details and comments for each game. It also showcases top 5 lists by genre, with highlights like GoldenEye, Super Smash Bros., The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time, and Super Mario 64. The Test of Time section revisits older reviews. Vigilante 8 slightly decreased from 90% to 85%, Beetle Adventure Racing dropped from 92% to 83%, and Starshot remained critically panned, dropping from 44% to 42%. Finally, the magazine recommends N64 peripherals. The official Nintendo controller is essential. The Joytech Grand Prix Racing Wheel is highlighted, alongside the Datal 4 Meg memory card, and the Interact Ultra Racer 64 mini steering wheel. This page presents the magazine's Nindex, a comprehensive listing of Nintendo 64 games reviewed up to this point, complete with their scores and brief comments. It also breaks down the top 5 games in key genres like racing, party/puzzle, sports, and strategy/simulation, featuring leading titles in each category. The mag's Most Wanted section highlights highly anticipated upcoming games with screenshots, including Perfect Dark, the game known as Zelda Gaiden at the time, which we now know as Majora's Mask, Donkey Kong 64, Resident Evil 2 showing zombies, and Ridge Racer 64. There's also a feature on the expansion pack, explaining its benefits for certain games, and a list of other titles expected to arrive soon on the console. This page is clearly the cover, or a major splash page going absolutely bananas for Donkey Kong 64. There's a massive image of DK wielding his hammer, and it's announced that the game is reviewed in this issue, following on nicely from it being listed as one of the most wanted games last page. On top of that, this issue is absolutely packed with reviews for a huge list of other games, such as Resident Evil 2, Ridge Racer 64, Project R Marines, Rainbow Six, Robot on Courier, Zen, Warrior Princess, South Park, Chef's Love Shack, Carmageddon, Road Rash, Lego Racers, and Hot Wheels. Plus, there are reviews for Vigilante 8, Second Offense, South Park Rally, Nuclear Strike, Smash Brothers, WWF WrestleMania 2000, WCW Mayhem, Daikatana, Ready to Rumble, and NBA Live 2000. There are also adverts for special reserve discounts and other services related to games.